The Minecraft community is no stranger to controversy, especially when it comes to the content creator side of things. Just about everything from, yelling slurs to essay to PDF files have been exposed within the community. But today's topic will be a weirder case of abuse to come out, that being Wilbur Soot and his biting. On February 24th, 2024, streamer and ex-girlfriend of Wilbur Soot, Shelby Shubble, would come on stream and talk about a previous abusive relationship she was in. And while she never states that it was Wilbur in her stream, we would later get confirmation that it was about him. She claims that it took her 10 months and multiple therapists to heal from what she had been put through, and that she had been feeling a lot of anger towards herself for letting herself get into that situation. She had talked to some friends about what was going on, and that she thought it was really weird, and they had told her that she was being abused. Shovel would state that she was also mad at herself for lying to friends and acting like everything was okay to protect him and his reputation. She would claim that he only cared about how bad the abuse looked and not how bad it actually was. She would then explain how she wasn't abused by hitting, but by biting.
When I hear about physical abuse, I think of hitting. I think of hitting and punching. So I thought that this wasn't violent enough um, to be abuse. I thought that it was just like a constant accident that he kept hurting me. But he's not hitting me. And it didn't start as something that he did to hurt me. He had this habit of biting.
Shovel would claim that he defended it by saying that it wasn't a thing to hurt her, but it was just how he shows affection and always had since he was a kid. Wilbur would allegedly ask Shovel if biting her was going to be okay because he didn't want her to come out later saying that he abused her, which she claims was really weird because she thought he would never hurt her. So why did he need to ask her if she was going to accuse him of that? She thought that maybe he was just checking in on her and making sure she was okay with everything. She would then claim that he would accidentally bite too hard and that it had started becoming more frequent. He would act sorry after biting her too hard and would eventually set up a safe word with her for when he was biting too hard.
He started biting me more and more over a period of time, sort of throughout the whole relationship. And accidents of him biting too hard and really hurting me happened more and more frequently. But he always seemed genuinely sorry. And he decided that he didn't want to keep accidentally hurting me. So we were going to use a safe word so he could learn where my limit was, where my pain tolerance ended. And saying that out loud now doesn't sound like that's not very sound logic. But at the time, I thought he cared about not hurting me. But in reality, it's like, why are you biting so hard? And why do you have to bite so hard?
She would claim that hearing that out loud now, she realizes how insane it sounds. But she also says that him biting her had become so normalized and he got so comfortable doing it that he would bite her until she screamed in pain around their friends. She would have to just laugh it off and be embarrassed because of how uncomfortable the room would get. And she thought that so long as she laughed it off, then everything was okay. When she brought up to him that he was biting too hard, he would initially apologize, which eventually turned into him blaming her pain tolerance and saying that she was exaggerating how bad it was. Wilbur would allegedly show off the bites to his friends and joke about the
But his biting escalated to a point where I was covered in bruises all over my arms, and they hurt, and he would poke at them for fun. And he even felt so comfortable showing off my bruises that he had caused to our friends because he would bite me so hard by accident. By accident, he would even joke that it looked like he abused me.
He would start realizing that it really did look like he was abusing her with her arms covered in bruises from the bites. So instead of just not biting her anymore, he would move on to her legs where they could be hidden much easier. He'd then start only biting her until she had to use a safe word every time, only stopping when she was definitely hurt. After, Shovel would again ask Wilbur to stop biting her, and he would allegedly respond by saying,
This is who he is. He isn't going to change. Those were his words.
Shubble at this point would be convinced that he was weaponizing the safe word, wanted to ensure that she was hurt and wasn't sorry about it anymore. She would go on to allege that even after she would say the safe word, Wilbur would continue to bite her and even grind his teeth before finishing. She would feel so anxious around him that she was constantly nauseous and felt like she was unwanted and ignored. When she would tell him that, he would love bomb her by saying that he wants her around and loves her more than she loves him. Shovel would then go on to bring up that before they got together, they had really only talked in group chats, and when he found out that she was single, he'd wait a couple weeks and then ask her out. He would perform big romantic gestures, call her his soulmate, claim he never thought he'd find love again, would write her love letters, and talked about forever with her and wanting kids with her. So she started opening up to the idea of forever with him, and when they started having their issues, she tried to talk to him and he'd claim,
Now all of a sudden he's telling me he's not sure he wants kids at all. In fact, he has never been attached to the idea of kids. And I told him that isn't what he said before. And he said he's allowed to change his mind.
this would worry her because he's changed his mind about wanting kids. Would he change his mind about wanting to marry her? So she asked him if he still would want to get married, which he replies by claiming that he's never been the commitment guy and that she knew that. While claiming to not be a commitment guy, he would also tell her that he wants to be with her and work on all their problems. However, Shovel points out that she's caught him in multiple lies before, causing her to not believe it. She would claim everything reached a breaking point when he was getting ready for an extended trip where they would only see each other a few days every other month. Suddenly, Wilbur would start airing out every problem that he's had and not said, claiming that he's felt like that for months. He would claim to not want to break up, but wanted to fix everything in the 3 days before he went on his trip, but would refuse to compromise on any of the issues. He would then claim the relationship was feeling more like a responsibility towards the end than an actual relationship. Wilbur would allegedly tell Shovel that he would never prioritize her in his life, even though she claimed she wasn't asking for very much. He'd still refuse to give her the attention that you'd expect a boyfriend to. He would also allegedly give all of that attention to anyone else around who would ask for it. Shovel would go on to say that what she thought both of them wanted was to just be together, and Wilbur would tell her that he had grown to resent her. When she would press why, he would repeatedly say that he understood he had no reason to, but that he just did. She would claim that Wilbur would never change and was going to continue hurting her multiple times a day, so she broke up with him. After the breakup, he would allegedly claim that he wanted to remain friends, but then would refuse to talk to her other than to pick up some clothes. Shovel would say Wilbur would throw out the rest of her stuff without a word, which she claims was hundreds of dollars worth of office supplies and stuff she needed for videos. She would then claim that she thought he was bottling up all of his emotions and taking it all out on her with the biting. She believed he wanted to break up but didn't want to be the one to do it, so he would hurt her as a way of trying to push her away.
But I do believe that that he was bottling up so many emotions that he was taking it out on me physically. I believe there was a moment where he knew that he didn't want to be in the relationship anymore, and instead of just ending it, he tried to push me away any way he knew would hurt me. And he knew all of the ways that would hurt me the most. And he knew he was hurting me. There was no way that he didn't know because of the safe word that he made. And he just didn't care. He was hurting me and he didn't care, and even looked like he was enjoying it.
She would go on to claim that Wilbur had held her down one day and asked her to try to get away. When she couldn't, he would tell her that since he was stronger than her, she couldn't fight him back, which is objectively an insane and creepy thing to fucking do. He refused to make time for her, whether it was when they were long distance and he would claim to not want to spend all day on the computer, or when they were in person, he would never want to go out and want to stay on his computer playing games and watching movies all day, refusing to spend any time with her. She would also claim that his house was dirty and would leave it like that for her to clean. She'd leave and he wouldn't clean at all until she she came back and she cleaned the house for him. She says that things like soap and cleaning supplies would only stay in the house so long as she bought it, and he would refuse to buy any of it. Shovel would claim that she was paying for all the travel expenses, and Wilbur would refuse to help out at all, as well as making her buy a majority of their food because he just didn't want to pay. She would tell him that she couldn't afford to keep paying for everything and was starting to run out of money since she couldn't properly work while on the trips, and he would pay for the cat sitter she needed, but only once.
But I was telling him that I couldn't afford it all by myself all the time because I was losing money. I was never able to work properly there, and he wasn't traveling at all to see me anymore, even though he said he would. That was like the basis of our entire relationship starting off. So then he agreed to pay for the cat sitter so that it would be basically paying half the cost of my travels. And he did that once. And then never did it again, despite many more months of dating.
She would claim that their entire relationship was built on both of them traveling to see each other, and Wilbur allegedly would refuse to travel to see her anymore, so she would have to pay for a ticket to the UK to see him. Shovel would also claim that Wilbur would demand that she make trips to the UK to see him because they weren't spending enough quality time together. But when she would be there, Wilbur would ignore her and spend that time playing games or hanging out with his friends. She had mentioned to him that she was willing to move to the UK to be with him, and he would reject that idea and say he was going to move to the US with her, but obviously that never happened. He would then blame the relationship ending on her not living close enough to him, even though she had offered to move to the UK and he kept telling her no. Shovel would claim that she came out with her experience because she believes people like that are genuinely dangerous. She says he's willing to lie about everything, is willing to hurt the people he claims to love more than anything else in the world, and that his actions continue to escalate until the end of the relationship, and she believes she won't be the last person he does this to. Shovel explains she felt her story needed to be shared because
And I felt like sharing my story was really important to warn people. I want people to see the signs that I refused to. I want you to listen to your body and get out as soon as possible. Tell your friends the truth and let them help you.
and that's really the end of Shovel's stream talking about her allegations. Now, while she had never named who she was talking about, it wasn't hard for people to put together that this was about Wilbur. So people would look to him for answers and an apology, and I don't think people were ready for what they got, that being nothing much. I'm going to read through the entire response and then talk about it after. So, in the past week, a series of allegations have been made over my conduct from an ex-girlfriend. I want to emphasize that although I feel it fair to offer my perspective, this person's feelings are completely valid. I have taken my time sharing this statement as I wanted to process and respond respectfully and with the hope to gain deeper understanding for the situation. During our relationship's final months, I regrettably became slobbish, disrespectful, and selfish. These actions caused a lot of pain to my ex-girlfriend, and I have since sought therapy to address these behaviors, making significant lifestyle changes to rectify my past actions. I have come to realize how much my past behavior hurt this person, but I truly, compassionately believe I have made great strides from the person I once was and hope I can continue to grow and improve on this trajectory. Throughout our relationship, I understood from our numerous conversations and text message exchanges on the subject that this behavior was consensual, playthrough, and reciprocally enjoyed. I truly believe those personal message exchanges reflect mutual affection and understanding. Out of respect for her, I choose to not publish them and emphasize my perspective is not shared to diminish or invalidate anyone's feelings. Instead, I share it in the hopes that I can offer a genuine, fair, and relevant insight into my understanding of the situation. While I may perceive our interactions differently, I recognize that this person has processed and experienced feelings of hurt. I want to extend my sincerest apologies for any pain that I caused. I am fully committed to understanding and addressing her concerns going forward. I hope my perspective sheds light on the situation without detracting from its message. I am dedicated to earning and maintaining the trust of those around me and hope I continue to be held to these high standards I wish to attain and maintain. Will. So first off, hiding the allegations of biting is fucking horrible. He knew well that not everybody looking at this would make it to the second page, thus trying to hide what he actually did. Next, that first paragraph doesn't inspire hope in me. It feels more like a big nuh-uh while also claiming that Shovel's feelings are valid. Wilbur, if she was lying, why would you want to say that her feelings about this are valid? If it wasn't true, then why wouldn't you try and dispute it and prove your innocence? Saying that her feelings are valid is you trying to seem like a good guy without giving in and admitting what you did. The next paragraph won't be much better either. He continues saying that he was slavish, disrespectful, and selfish in the end of the relationship, but he also claims that he has been going to therapy to get better and claims that he has been making strides in that, which, if he is, then that's good, but it still doesn't excuse what you put Shovel through. And let's be honest, being slavish and selfish weren't the actual accusations, but that you were biting her to the point of leaving bruises all over her and thought that was okay even after being told that you're hurting her. So why did you wait for the back half of the apology to bring up what the real accusations are other than to hide the truth? Speaking of, we now get to the acknowledgement of his biting. He claims that he had the understanding that the biting was consensual and that he had messages to prove it, but won't share them to respect Shovel's privacy. However, if someone's coming after you and calling you an abuser, you have to disprove it, otherwise the general audience is going to just believe your accuser. He says he extends the sincerest apology, but still won't admit what he's done was wrong. He still acts like it was some misunderstanding he could prove wrong, but won't, which I can't understand. Finally, Wilbur says that he wants to understand and address the issues with Shovel, and that he's glad that the community is holding him to a higher standard, which he wants to reach. But if that was true, then why was the response you gave us a big nothing burger? If that was true, why is there no real accountability in your response? After Wilbur's response, the rest of the community would come out to renounce him. We had Tubbo, who stated that what Wilbur did was disgusting.
If any chatter in this stream or any person in this like community ever thinks about defending domestic abuse or anything like that, or anything in that vein, or anything that fucking serious, all right, you have no place here, and I want you to unfollow and I want you to leave. And I really highly suggest, if you want the full context, go watch Shelby's VOD.
We had Nia Chu telling her own stories about Wilbur.
I did not know about everything that was going on with Shelby, but I knew it was bad because I knew him in that way, and he was not good to me either. So just so we have that out of the way, I don't want to talk too much about it because it still haunts me. It's still one of those things that haunt me. And I can't breathe. But yeah, I have experiences and I don't want to talk about those, and I don't want you guys to bring those up anymore. There's a reason why I haven't been willing to be associated with him for a while, and I know a lot of people are also talking about, yeah, but you always talk positively about him. I was scared.
But the most important response was obviously Shovel's. She begins her response by thanking everyone who's come out to support her and that sharing her story has helped her heal a bit. She then goes on to say that Wilbur's response was too self-centered and misconstrued the entire issue. She claims that the apology for the hurt he's caused is incredibly disrespectful given he knew he was hurting her since they needed a safe word. She would also say that there are no DMs about the biting like he claims and that all of those conversations were in person. She states that he absolutely knew he was hurting her and that she didn't like being covered in the bruises, which was the entire reason he moved to her legs. She would claim that she felt lost while in the relationship, abandoned her morals, and lied to friends for him, and felt like she was locked in a house that she had no key for. She claims to have stayed because she had abandoned all reasoning because she loved him and he promised to stop hurting her. She goes on to thank everyone who had supported her and stuck by her side through the situation, then ends the post by saying you can't treat people the way Wilbur did without consequences and pretend to not have caused harm. And that's just about it. Wilbur ruined his career with that response, really. Yeah, what Wilbur had allegedly done was awful, but Shovel also had no evidence for it at all. If Wilbur had shown any evidence that she was lying or exaggerating, I think the general public would have been more on his side. But as of now, he's shown nothing and proven nothing. And his response being a big nuh-uh really hurt any credibility he might have had with his audience. Obviously, I believe Shovel. Even if I would have liked some evidence, I know that can be difficult for conversations that happened in real life and situations that aren't in the general sphere of the internet. So, where are they now? Well, Shovel is still streaming on Twitch and posting videos on YouTube, and Wilbur is still trying to put out music with Lovejoy. I haven't personally listened to anything since everything's come out, but I did see that they posted new music, so I guess that's a thing. Well, shit, you made it to the end of the video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!